First, I want to apologize for not uploading as much as I should. There has been a little bit of a thing going on, some shenanigans and events that I could not turn away from, so I do apologize for not uploading as much as I should. But hopefully this video can make it up to you guys, maybe? Alright, we'll see. The 5th Astral Era, filled with war and magic long lost to history. This is the setting for the war between 3 great city-states that would soon become the predecessors to the now Ul'dah, Gridania, and Limsa Lominsa. On the islands of Vilbrand, where one can find the Palace of the Lake, a floating city stays quiet, telling a story of a civilization long since past. A city is known as Nym, nicknamed the floating city of Nym for its mysterious means of floating in the air by means of crystals. This once proud city of magic users and axemen were laid low during the war in the 5th Astral Era by means of subterfuge from one of the city-states. The Nymians, out of kindness, housed troubled traders who were coming from the supposed former enemy, the city of Mach. A truce was established between the cities, and a trade was made between the two. However, this trade was but a deceitful tactic used by the Void Mages of Mach. This truce was planned, this plan ruthless and successful. This was the world's way of biological warfare. The Void Mages had a knack in summoning, enslaving, and working with Voidsent to suit their means. This also meant that they could capture the Voidsent in a small trinket and give said trinket to a city as a gift, unleashing the Voidsent's curse. Be you warrior, scholar, royal, or civilian, the Green Death, as it was called, attacked all and reduced the city of proud scholars in the air to little green beastmen we now know as tomberries. The Scholars of Nym tried their hardest to stop or at least control this disease by almost every means. Medicine, magic, curses, and even faith. But to no avail. Soon, one after another, the scholars themselves fell to the Green Death, until every Nymian was no longer the form that they were. The city of Mach won. They used a tactic that took advantage of trust between 2 nations through a truce, and made a city fall gradually to nothing more than a city full of rancor. This curse did, however, allow the civilization to at least see the 7th Astral Era, where the adventurer makes their appearance. While studying under the arcanists of Limsa Lominsa, the adventurer finds a job to become an experiment, led by a Lalafell marauder. This experiment was to revive an old art through old tomes and relics found near the ancient structure, the Wanderer's Palace. This is where the adventurer finds out that the tomberries that they've been fighting and have been killing were actually the Nymians of history's past. You find out that your victory over the Tomberry King, who was once the leader of Nym, stopped and if not slowed the degradation of the Tomberry's mind, meaning they started to lose their rancor. This, however, did not last. The rancor that the Tomberries felt after wars long dead started to rise once again. As the only scholar left in the world, the adventurer made it their duty to find a cure, and the only way to do that was to find the source that turned Cerrito Corrito and his kin into what they were, and annihilate the source. After looking for clues and eventually finding the trail of the escaped Voidsent that turned the Nym population, the adventurer, the Lalafell, and his allies fought and defeat the demon before it could infect more innocent people. Throughout this journey, I, as the player, realized many things. Even though the Voidsent was destroyed and the Rancor may now have some sort of cure coming its way, the Tomberries are still going to be stuck in their forms. Stuck to being in a form they had no desire into being. That's only one thing I saw. The other was how the Scholar played in the game. Scholars are healer by role, having healing magic, a fairy that heals and supports the party, and even having support magic to beef up their allies, just like the stories of them teaming up with Marauders as their tactician and healers. But the key word here is tactician. The use of Scholar makes the player think in ways that goes beyond that of normal healing. They can buff allies, make areas a safe haven, and they even have skills literally having tactics in the name. On a real note, I think it makes sense to get spells from a spell book, but they're also reading a book that perhaps have something to do with tactics in there, maybe some sort of way of playing out war. I think Scholars have something more than just healing to their name. A lot of other skills have more to do with giving encouragement rather than a magical healing spell. Well, they are spells, but their meanings mean something totally different. They speak to their allies and give tactics and speak with encouragement. What I'm trying to say here is that a lot of their spells, even though they are healing spells technically, if you look up their definition, have something to do with encouragement or giving some sort of speech that allows them to boast and make them feel better. They spread words of comfort, while the fairy does most of the actual magical healing. They spread means of infliction, while also throwing leeches at their allies. Something you would think a strategic doctor would do rather than a magical book-reading mage. Yes, they have magic, but the magic they hold is more on the lines of what they say to you and how they make you feel. Kind of like being told to take a miracle medicine that was told to have the cure to the common cold. After 2 days of taking the medicine, you feel 110% better, and you thank the doctor for giving you the cure. Only for the doctor to tell you that you essentially took the equivalent of a sugar pill, and that it was you who made yourself better through positive feeling and the power of mind. I feel that's what the Scholar does, but this isn't concrete at all. I could be 100% wrong about everything, but as I speak about how this is a thing with Scholars, the Astrologian also has something similar to them as to how they heal their allies, but that's another story. I also want to end off with how the Nymians follow a deity that has nothing to do with knowledge, Oskon the Wanderer. Oskon had little to do with knowledge, rather than being a carefree god who commanded the wind and protected the mountains. The inconsistency here is that the Wanderer's palace is in a lake, and water is what I would say is more involved with the Nymians, but Oskon has nothing to do with water. You could say that they're involved with wind because they live in the sky with their floating city. This doesn't explain why literally no one talks about archers, which is what Oskon is. Now, I found no records or proof that bowmen were not in the Nym army, but nothing tells us, the players, through research or cutscenes, about them having archers in their army. Maybe they did, but were completely over-ingested with how the Marauders were the brunt of the force and the Scholars were the brilliant tacticians who kept the battle in their favor. This kind of contradicts the whole patron deity who has a bow and is carefree with battle-hardened disciplined axemen and organized tactic-minded bookworms. Really though, unless we can get a glimpse of that time, the time where we had Scholars, White Mages, and Void Mages fighting for dominance of their land, we won't get the entire story on Scholars and what they gave to us. I do believe that they are the predecessors of Limsa, and I also believe they have something to do with the Charlayan civilization due to their intellect and advanced researching ability. But again, I could be wrong. Who knows? But it does lead me to the enemy of the Nymians, the city of Mach. This should be very interesting, because we hardly have any information on them and they left no legacy behind, for the exception of battle scars, a ship that's haunted, and a talking cat. Maybe there's more, who knows? We'll see in the next video, as we explore the 5th Astral Era with the Void Mages of Mach. coffee is so good right now. Sorry, I had to take a break in the middle of this. Got this chocolate flavor, and man, it's good. Okay, sorry about that.